Hello, it's Parm King, and today's Foundry tip is setting up a campaign in Foundry. I've been asked this question numerous times. How do I set up my campaigns in Foundries, my journals, my maps, and everything? And I thought, well, why not just make an epic video of the methodology that I use? Now, this is a long video because I'm going to be going from scratch, creating an entire area of a campaign, everything from journal entries to NPCs, loot, even roll tables in here in this 8-step process that I use. So sit back and relax, enjoy the show. I did put timestamps in below so that you can go ahead and jump to the different sections or go back and review them as you see fit. But before we get started, I wanted to talk about the benefits of using this methodology. Now, whether you're playing Dungeon World or Pathfinder or D&D, or rather, no matter where you get your content, whether it was Drive-Thru-RPG or DMS Guild, you can use this methodology to build your campaign and adventure in Foundry. There's no modules. I'm not going to be using any modules. This is just Foundry in the raw. Now, the second benefit is by using this methodology, you're going to be really good at understanding. It's almost like a session campaign prep. You're going to have full comprehensive knowledge of all the details of the campaign that you're running, because you're going to go through and filter this stuff, take notes, and put this all together in this methodology. Number 3 is you're going to become really comfortable using Foundry. You're going to really understand the simple, majestic beauty of how all these things work together in a very simple level. Again, we're not using any modules in this video at all. This is just building it using Foundry raw. Number 4, you're going to be able to customize and use homebrew stuff on the fly as you're building your campaign in Foundry for your players. You're going to be able to add your own homebrew stuff in, add some customization, which I will be doing and showing you how I do it and some of my thought processes. And the last but not least is enjoy this experience. Role-playing games are a hobby, and if you're a dungeon master or game master, you are a unique breed. You enjoy reading the books and the rules and the lore and the characters, and I see Foundry as kind of that portal that I get to jump into and start building and creating this world for my players. So I love Foundry. I think understanding it from its core basis with no modules and using this method is a great way to get comfortable with the system. And of course, I'm a module addict. I use tons of modules, but I think this is fundamentally something that I think is important, and I always go back to these roots in this methodology. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll talk about step number 1. Now, step number 1 is called defining the area. And it doesn't matter if you're playing on a tabletop or on a virtual system, we need to define the area. And that really means a set of locations, NPCs, loots, quests within a given area in which your players are going to spend at least one or multiple sessions in. And this is a really important philosophical concept to operate by as a game master or dungeon master, because I can't imagine picking up a book like CoS Strahd and just trying to absorb the entire campaign and plan it all at once. By focusing down on different areas, we can get down into the granular details, really create a rich experience for our players in each and given session. So I build campaigns from different areas. Now, one of the great things of Wizards of the Coast and their campaign books is they break their books down into chapters based on areas. And so we're going to be doing our area on the village of Barovia from the CoS Strahd. And so I'm going to go step by step and slowly incorporate my village of Barovia into Foundry. So let's talk about step 1. Step 1 is we start with the journal, and I have a picture here. This is the command buttons up on the right hand corner of the screen, and it's the center one. It looks like a book. And why do we start with journals? Well, we're playing a role-playing game. It's about content. I think of the journal as my own campaign guide. I'm going to be pulling pieces of CoS Strahd into building my own campaign guide in my journal. And in my journal, I'm going to have links to loot and to stuff online and pictures and everything. So this is really my online campaign book. And all my maps and characters, everything are going to be linked from this book. We're going to start with this as our outline. So let's go ahead and jump into Foundry right now. So let me just turn off my PowerPoint. And here we are. We are in Foundry, completely blank. We have nothing in our journal entries. We don't have any characters, nada, zippo. So the first thing I'm going to do is I purchased Curse of Strahd from D&D Beyond, and let's bring it up right here. Here we go. Here's the main book. And the chapters, you can see the chapters are broken down into areas, which makes it really easy for you to start building your campaign. So you can see there's Village of Barovia, there's Castle Ravenloft, the Town of Vlaki, the Ruins of Brest, Linka Pass. We're going to be doing Village of Barovia. So I'm going to just click on that, and everything we're going to be doing is coming from this chapter. So we're going to hyper focus on this chapter, and we're going to build an area. We're going to use our journal as our foundation to build from. So the first thing I'm going to do in here is I'm going to create a folder, and I'm going to call it Village of Barovia. All right. So I got that in there, and I'm going to create a color, and we're going to be using color coding because it's really important. You're going to see later how this works really well together. So I'm going to pick a color out. I like blue. I'm a blue guy. So I'm going to pick this blue right here. And this is our Village of Barovia folder, and everything that happens in Village of Barovia, this is the parent folder for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is, what are my locations in the Village of Barovia? And if we click in our Curse of Strahd book, we have areas in here. We have, it looks to be 7 areas. We have Bildris Mercantile Exchange, the Blood and Vine Tavern, a townhouse, the mansion, the church, the cemetery, and the haunted house. Now, before you start even jumping into Foundry and doing this, I always recommend whatever campaign or adventure, just sit home, read it cover to cover. Don't worry about stat blocks or tables. You want to read it like you read a novel or watch a movie. You want to just absorb the story, the characters, the lore, the antagonists and protagonists, and everything that's going on, so that you really have a flavor and understanding and theme of what's going on. Then when you're going through this process that I'm talking about, you're going back through it. Now you're going to be focusing on stat blocks and kind of building this up piece by piece with this 8-step methodology that I'm talking about. Excuse me. So we got our areas here. We're going to not use Haunted House. That references the Death House, which is a separate mini adventure in the appendix of Curse of Strahd. So we really have 6 locations here. And we're going to click on the first location, Bildris Mercantile, and we're going to just go ahead and copy, Control-C. We're going to go back over here, and if you click on the folder, you'll notice another little folder pop up with a plus sign. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to just hit Bildris Mercantile and hit OK. Now you've got a subfolder underneath your parent folder. I'm going to do this again for each of these locations really quick. So I'm going to go to the Blood and Vine. I'm going to copy and paste. Now the reason I make a folder for each location is there going to be some situations, and we're going to demonstrate this in Village of Barovia, where some locations have multiple journal entries into it, and there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that as we go through this step-by-step process. The next one we have is Mad Mary's Townhouse, and we're going to copy and paste. Put that in here. We're going to go to the next one we have is the Burgermeister's Mansion. Now, I really enjoy this process. This is part of when we go through this process that I'm talking about, building this area up, we're really getting to know this area really well by copying and pasting, reading some stuff, and I'm going to show you about some notes, how I put some things together. Let's do another one here. We got, that was Mad Mary's. We have the church. Oh, sorry, we had the Burgermeister's Mansion. Did I already do that one? Yep. We have the church. Here we go, the church. Remember before I was talking about an area that's going to have multiple journal entries? The church is one. So if you look at the church, it has the hall, Doro's bedroom, Father Donovich's bedroom, the trapdoor, chapel, etc., etc. It's going to have multiple journal entries in there because there's a battle map, and I'll explain how this all works in a bit. Let's go to the cemetery. I'm just going to copy and paste the cemetery in here and do another one. Boom, boom. Cemetery. And I think that's it. We got our 6 places here. Now, what we have here is we have our parent directory for the village of Barovia, and we have folders for each of the individual areas. Now, before we get started, I always make one kind of primer for the entire area. Now, you look at each one of these folders, they have like a little feather next to it. That's to create your journal entry. And we're going to do one for the village of Barovia here. And we're going to go back to the top, the beginning of the village of Barovia. We're going to call it the village of Barovia. And this is just the primer. It's some notes about the village at the high level that me as a dungeon master just needs to know. Now, we have our first journal entry that we've created. And what Foundry's done is they've made this very clean, but has some really powerful editing abilities to it and linking abilities, which as we go through the step-by-steps, you're going to see how cool this really is, how amazing Foundry is. And of course, you have a bunch of editing here. You can do bullet points and pictures and links. Now, what I like to do in here is we're not going to copy and paste all of Curse of Strahd in here. That's just ridiculous. You might as well just have the campaign book sitting with you next to Foundry. What we really want to do is we're creating our own in-game campaign book with succinct notes and some flavored text and some references in here. So we just don't want to blast this with a bunch of stuff. We want to put in stuff in there that's going to be important for us to remember so we can stay in the moment in the game as we're talking, communicating to our players. So I'm going to go to the village of Barovia. The village is a sad place in the land. The residents are so terrified that they venture out, very rarely venture out of their homes. That kind of gives us a little bit of an idea of the village here. I don't need to really copy that. I kind of understand that. But there is an important note here. Strahd has been paying nightly visits to Irina and the adopted daughter of the village Burgermeister and carries his soul. So this is a really important hook to the entire campaign. So I am going to copy and I'm going to paste that. I'm going to put that right there inside the village because this is at the very onset of the campaign. This is a flavored story hook that's going to be touching the players and NPCs through the entire campaign. The next thing I see in here is approaching the village. There's some flavored text. So I'm going to just copy that flavored text. I'm going to put that in there as well. Hold on. Just, there we go. Copy and paste. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of how to edit these things in here. You can design these however you want, but there is one important thing in the journal notes that I want to show you. The first thing, well, there's two. First thing is I like to highlight everything, and I use this I with a little X next to it. Gets rid of all the what do you call it? Clears the formatting. The second thing I do is I'm going to determine what's secret and what my players can read, because you can share your journal entries with your players. Now, I don't often do it, but sometimes I do. So anything that I think I don't want my players to see, I'm going to put in secret. And so they have a thing in here where you can put some of your text in secret. So I'm going to highlight this first section, which I don't want my players to ever see, go down to custom and hit secret. That means if I share this screen, they're only going to read the flavor text, and anything in this gray box is secret they won't be able to see. So I'm going to save this. Now, one thing I like to do with my journal entries for my players is I always like to show my players picture. It helps pull them into the scene. It creates a better immersion experience. And what's really cool about our journal entries is we can put in these photos that we want to kind of send a visual message to our players. So up here, there's a little button called Image. I'm going to click on Image, and I'm going to put a picture of the village in here, entering the village. I have one already in here. Hit Select. I found this on the internet, and there it is. So now, as I can read through this text, I have some information, and I can go to the image, and if I want to, I can just hit Show to Players, and this will pop up on their screen, and it kind of gives them an image right away as they're sitting in front of their computers, and you're telling the story. Maybe you got some music going on in the background. It's really going to give them some flavor of this desolate kind of dark place. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go through each one of these and put in some text for each one of these places. So we're going to start with the Buildress Mercantile place, and I'm just going to use the flavored text. We don't want to copy and paste everything in there. It's just ridiculous to do that. I'm going to give you a few little tricks that I use. Oh, kind of screwed that up. We need to do Buildress thing first. Let me just close that and do another one. So I do this. I'm going to put the flavor text in there, and I'm going to show you how I keep my notes. I like to keep things succinct, not too much. So I got this in here, and I'm going to go down, and I noticed right away that in Buildress Mercantile, we got 2 NPCs. It says it right here in the text. So I'm going to go back down to my notes, my journal entry. I'm going to type in NPC, and I'm just going to copy and paste them in here for now. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do later, but this is important because it's just a reminder for me as I'm going and reading through this. So we've got the owner, which is Bildreth. Just going to highlight him, owner, Bildreth. Hit copy and paste and put him in here. And we've got this guy that's his nephew, the stock boy, Perry Whipple. I'm going to put copy and paste. I'm going to put that right underneath. And there's a little note that I should remember here. He is a gladiator. So I'm going to need to put a copy and paste into here. Copy and paste. There we go. And these are NPCs. And this is a store, right? So we're going to be selling stuff here. What are the kind of items we're going to sell? Well, it tells us right here in the beginning. He sells items for the adventuring gear from the player's handbook. Sells them anything that's lower than 25 price, but he marks them up 10 times the amount. So we're going to just copy and paste this in here. I'll show you what we're going to do with it later. This is just quick notes that you need to remember. And again, we're going to block this off into secret so our players can't see it. And this one's done. We're going to go move off into the Blood and Vine Tavern and get this ready to go. So we're going to jump down to Blood and Vine. And here's Blood and Vine Tavern. Copy, paste. I got Blood and Vine. And I'm going to do my flavored text. And put that in the top. And we have some more NPCs in here that the players are going to run into. And who are my NPCs that we're going to run into? Well, a major NPC is Ismark, if you're familiar with CoS RAW. So I'm just going to hit copy and put Ismark in here. And then we also have the bartender, Barkeep, right here. He's he tends the bar. So I'm going to just put him in there. Oh, in fact, I'm going to put that whole sentence in there because he's a pudgy little man. It gives me a little description of him. Pudgy barkeeper. The pudgy barkeeper. There we go. And we have these 3 Vistani owners here. They're all sitting in the corner here near the door. I'm just going to put that sentence in there. So this kind of tells us who's in the bar. And we're going to go ahead and get all that crappy formatting off. I don't know why. There we go. Turn off the crappy formatting. We're going to put this NPC stuff in secret. We don't want our players ever to see this. Okay, we're going to save that, close that off. We're going to do the Burgermeister's mansion at this point. We're going to swing down here to Burgermeister's. Now, this place has a lot of stuff going on. There's Irina in here. There's some other stuff in here too. So we're going to put the, this is the outside of the place. We're going to go ahead and, oh, let's do the Burgermeister's mansion first. You can see this is pretty quick. This is fun to do. You're getting really familiar with your campaign, as I mentioned before. You're going to put your flavor text. I always like to put the flavor text in. I don't always use it, but it helps me understand what the author is going for, and sometimes I ad-lib my own. The characters enter the mansion to read this, so I'm going to just put that in there too. And then I'm going to go down. We got an NPC in here, so I'm going to put in a section called NPC. Don't worry about how this looks. I'll fix this all up. In fact, I can do that right now. If it's annoying you, just highlight everything and just get rid of this. There you go. We got rid of it. We're going to go in here, and we've got Irina, and she is right here. She's a noble. 14 hit points. This is pretty important to grab. We're going to put her in here. This is something that's just from inside the mansion, so I'm going to put a secret there. And we're going to do this. And again, we're just trying to keep this, when we're putting this together, this is the core foundation of getting our journal notes together. Just some flavor text, some important NPCs, and we're good to go. So now we're moving down to, we've got this one done, This is done. We're going to go to the cemetery next, just because they're in alphabetical order. There's the cemetery. I'm going to put some flavor text. Now, I have the cemetery I created. I'm going to do some homebrew. I'll show you some homebrew from my own cemetery when we get to that point. I have a special event happening at the cemetery, and we'll put this together for you. I love doing this stuff. This is just quite fun. There's nothing other in the cemetery here from the game. It's just kind of, you know, blonde here. So I'll put something else in there later. I'll show you. So let's go to the church. Now this is the one that's going to have multiple entries in it. And if we go to the church, you're going to see that right here. So they have this map here. So you've got A, which is the hall, B and C are bedrooms. D is this trapdoor area. E is the office. F is the chapel. And then G is this kind of underdark basement area. So we're going to go click on the hall. We're going to type it. Well, let's go up here and go hall. I don't do the maps first, by the way. I do all my maps is the very last thing, because then I populate my maps with a lot of stuff that I'm pulling from my journal entries and the characters I create. So journal entries always first, because I feel like I'm building a book. I'm building my story from my journal entries. So this hall is just, that's it. There's nothing else in the hall. You can see pretty quickly when you read this, if there's not a lot in here, there's not much in here. Like Doro's bedroom, there's not much to Doro's bedroom. It's just another location. We're just going to put it in there because it's part of the campaign. And I'm just going to hit copy paste for the flavored text. You notice how much stuff I'm not putting in my journal entry notes is because it's just stuff that's just superfluous. You just don't need it. You just need, I like to have the flavored text. So if I want to draw upon something, I can. And then after that, it's you know, if there's anything unique, if there's an item in the room, if there's loot in the room, if it's part of a quest, if there's an NPC in here, and we'll show you, we'll get to some, just patience. You know what I'm going to do, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to put on a little music to listen to as I do this in the background here. Hopefully it's not too loud. It probably isn't. There we go. Just turn down a little bit. Okay, so now we've got the, that's too much for you guys. I'll just turn it way down for you. I'm listening to it because I enjoy listening to some music when I do some work. We're going to do another one here, and we've got the trapdoor. Now the trapdoor has something interesting in here that we need to pay attention to, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with the trapdoor. So I'm going to put the flavored text in, like we have. I got the flavored text in, and what I'm going to do down here is, when you read the trapdoor, it says right here is the trapdoor is stuck, the lock is gone, it's padlocked shut. You need a DC 12 check to open it. So all I need to do in here is write trapdoor DC 12 strength to open. Okay, there's no lock to it. And that's really all I need to know as the player. I don't need to know all the details, right? Boom, and we're done with this one. Let's go to the next one here. We have the office. The office is interesting because we're going to be doing something a little different here with the office. So we're going to go office. Boom, there's our office. We've got our flavored text here. There's our flavored text. And in the end of the office, I have items. I saw some items in there. If you look at the text down here, there is a parchment, quill pens, and some books. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I copy all this text. I see all these items here that I'm reading about. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go, okay, quill pens. I'm going to delete this. Hit enter. There's some ink, jars of ink. I'll just hit enter. There is some, let's fix this so you can read this okay. There's some candles. There is some books. There's two books. There's this one, and there's this one. Okay, I'll get back to these things, but trust me, you're gonna like what I'm doing here. So I got some items in here, items that my players might want or take with them or might be important in the campaign somehow. So we're gonna go to the next location. We have the chapel itself. So we're gonna add the chapel here. There we go. And I'm gonna go to the chapel and hit create. And I'm gonna put in the flavored text. Boop. I'm gonna get rid of all of this crap, the crappy editing stuff. I'm gonna put this into secret. There we go. Now we have an NPC in here, so let's put the NPC. And our NPC is Father Donovich. He's a human acolyte, so we're going to copy that, hit a copy paste. And what else do we have in here? There's some stuff about his son, some really interesting stuff about Irina, about the March. Okay, special event, March of the Dead. So I'm going to click on March of the Dead. This is a special event. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to type in event. I'm going to do a March of the Dead. And I'm going to highlight March of the Dead. And I'm going to hit link. I'm going to put in that link, March of the Dead. And now I've got a link to it. I'm going to just get rid of this editing. Put this in secret. There we go, custom secret. And the other thing I notice in here is there's some other stuff that's going on in here. There's the funeral for the Burgermeister. There's stuff about Irina. There's a bunch of stuff about Donovich as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this chapel link, and I'm just going to put in here more info, just in case I need more info. So I'm going to type in more info, chapel. And I'm just going to turn this into a link just so I can always just click on it and it takes me right back to D&D Beyond or wherever my reference information is, and I'm good to go. So I save this and I'm good to go. I've got an NPC, I got an event in there. Now what else do I have? I have, the Undercroft. This is my last area in the church. This is where Doro is, so I'm going to hit Undercroft. I'm going to go up here to the church, hit Control V Undercroft, and I'm going to put in the flavored text. It's pretty much the only thing I always copy is the flavored text, just in case I need to read something or familiarize myself with the theme. Now, Doro's a vampire spawn, so we got an NPC here, vampire spawn, and I'm going to just put him in there real quick. Vampire spawn, Doro. There we go. And get rid of that flavor text. Is there anything else here? Yes, Fortunes of Ravenloft. So if your card, so in Curse of Straw, there's a tarot card reading with some different items and stuff, and some of the items are hidden throughout Barovia. So this is one of those places where it's hidden. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put that in there. That's an important note, obviously. I'll put that down here. Again, get rid of the formatting. And I'm just going to put this in bold because it's really important, so I can remember that. But the rest of this stuff is going to be in secret. Okay, so I have pretty much everything I need right now. The church is done. So you can see the church had all these other locations. The last place we have is Mad Mary's place. And we're pretty much done with our fundamental journal that we're going to start from, build everything away out of this thing. So we got Mad Mary's Townhouse. Mad Mary's Townhouse, we're going to go ahead and click on adding Mad Mary's Townhouse. Boom, there it is. And here's some flavor text for Townhouse. There we go. And now we have an NPC there. It's Mad Mary herself. Crazy Mad Mary. Okay, she's just crazy, clutching a malformed owl. Kind of says everything you need to know about this crazy lady. There she is. There's also an item in here. It's the doll, right? And there's some interesting things about this item. You know, again, I've read through this, but you should already realize this if you've been doing this. She has a daughter, Gertrude, which is important. There's a malformed doll that's made by Gandalf. So there's a malformed doll. Strange lyric dress class. We're just going to put this doll in here. I'm going to say there's an item here. The malformed doll is made by Gandalf Blinsky. This is the maker of it. And there's a tag, a frayed tag on the doll that says, is no fun, is no Blinsky. So we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to put this in secret. Okay. So let's just review quickly what we've done so far. We have a parent folder over here, which is, we have no maps, nothing. We have our parent folder, which is the village of Barovia. We created our entry here, which has a picture of Barovia with some general text, some information that's really important to understand the village of Barovia. We have folders for each location. Some of them only have one journal entry. Some of them, like the church, have multiple. In some of the journal entries, we've included some items, some information about some items. In some of the journal entries, like the chapel, we have an NPC, there's an event with some links there. So we're off to a good start. We have this journal folder, and we're going to go back and revisit this and constantly tweak it and update it as we go to step 2. So let's go ahead and go to step 2. And step 2 is, what is step 2? Oh, sorry, step 3. Step 3 is creating our NPCs. Now, if you're in Foundry, you're going to see the 3 heads up here, up in the right-hand corner, and we're going to start creating our NPCs. So let's go ahead and jump back into Foundry really quick and start making our NPCs. So here's the NPCs, and guess what? We're going to make a folder just like the one we have over here. So we have this village of Vlaki. If I right-click on this, hit edit folder, I want the folder to be the same color. So I'm just going to copy and paste the color. And when I go over here, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it, guess what? The Village of Barovia. Hit create. I'm going to make it the same color, so there's no denying it's from the same place. And we're going to do the same thing that we did in the other folder. We are going to create a folder for each of the locations. Now I'm just going to call it Tavern, right? Instead of actually the name of the tavern, but we know what it is. And we're going to go ahead and open up our journal entry for the Blood and Vine Tavern. And this is going to tell us what characters we have in there. We have Ismark, human veteran. We have the pudgy barkeeper, he's a commoner, and we have 3 Vistani spies. So what we're going to do is we're going to open our Compodium up. Now, if, again, I don't have anything installed, this is D&D 5e and just the normal SRD in here that when you install the D&D rule set, you get that. So here's the monsters. I'm going to open up the compendium here, and I'm going to type, oh, I got spy typed in already. So we're going to just grab a spy. And we're going to, because we got 3 of these spies, we're going to grab a spy and we're just going to grab it and drag it right into the tavern. So if I open up, we got a spy in here. Now we have multiple spies, so we can do this one of 2 ways. We can drag another spy in here this way and have another spy in there, or I can just right click on a spy and hit duplicate. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Now we're going to click on each one of these spies and we're going to name them because we have their names. So we have Alenka right here. Alenka, the female spy. The Vistani spy. So we're going to put that right there. Hit Alenka, and Alenka's done. We're going to open up the next one, and the next one we have is Maribel. So, sorry, my hand's a little jittery. There we go, Maribel. We're going to put her in there. Boom. And our last spy, his name is Sofia. Sofia, the female Vistani spy. There she goes. So we have all of them in here. Now we need is the veteran. Veteran, there's the veteran. We're going to drag the veteran over there. And this is, guess who this is? This is Ismark. We're going to grab Ismark and hit copy paste and put Ismark's name in there. Now we don't like this ghost image of Ismark. Notice all the stats are done for us. We don't have to do anything. But we don't have a picture of Ismark. So let's go back to our game. Go up to the Bloodvine Tavern. There's Ismark. We're going to click on his picture. I'm going to right click and open image in new tab. And I'm going to hit copy save image. And so, oh, I already have him saved. It's Ismark right here. I'm just going to save it again. Let's replace it. Okay, and I'm going to double click on here. I'm going to go up to my assets library, go to images, Village of Burrows. There's Ismark here. Select file, and guess what? There is Ismark. There's a picture of Ismark over here. Here he is. He's all ready to go. So we got Ismark. We need one more. We need a commoner. Let's get our bartender. Commoner. There's our commoner. We're going to drag our commoner over here into the tavern folder. And our commoner's name is, we're just going to call him the barkeep. We don't need to know his last name. That's getting into too much detail. We'll just call him the barkeep, yeah. There we go. Now, this is what we're going to do. We got this done, right? For the Bloodvine Tavern. We're going to reopen this up, and we're going to delete this here. And I'm going to show you something really cool. I'm going to drag and drop Ismark in here. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to drag and drop the barkeep in here. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to drag and drop the one Vistani woman in here. Marabella, the second Vistani woman here. Enter. And Sorvia, the other Vistani woman here. I'm going to hit save. Now what I've done is now I have links directly to this actor. So if I need to bring them up as I'm reading through the Blood and Vine Tavern, I can just click on it and boom, I'm bringing up the character already. I can also put some additional notes in here if I want to. So if I want to say, you know, in here, 3 Vistani women who own the place, right? And so now I know, hit save, and here they are. Here's the 3 Vistani women that own the place. I can just click on them and I can just bring them up. So we've got the Blood and Vine Tavern done. Let's go to the next location here. So the Blood and Vine sound, we got Mercantiles Exchange. So we're going to go up here, open up our compendium again, and we're going to create another folder in here. This time we're going to create a Bildreth's place, Bildrath, Bildreth's. Hit create, and in Bildreth's place we are going to be, we need another commoner. So we got the commoner and we're just going to drag him in there. Boop. And we need a gladiator, right? Gladiator. There we go. There's the gladiator. Okay. And the commoner here that we have, his name is Bildreth. Obviously, it's his place. He's the owner. You copy and paste. There he is. There's Bildreth. And we also have the gladiator here. So we're going to open up the gladiator. And his name is Perry Whipple. And we're going to put Perry Whipple in here. And we don't have an image of Perry Whipple in this game. I don't think we have an image of Bildreth. So we're just going to type in Perry Whipple on Google Images and see if anybody else has used Perry Whipple. This guy looks like a Perry Whipple. He's kind of a goofy Perry Whipple guy. Here's another Perry Whipple looking guy. So let's use this. View this. And we're just going to go save image. And we're going to call it Perry Whipple. And we're going to go back here. I'm going to just click on Assets, Images, Village of Barovia, choose File, Perry Whipple. Hit Select File. And there we have is Perry Whipple. So now we're going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to click in here. I'm going to delete both of these. I'm going to drag over Bildreth, and I'm going to drag over Perry Whipple. right? And hit save entry. And now I can just open them up right inside my, excuse me, in my journal notes. So let's do the next one here. We've got the Burgermeister's Mansion, which we've got Irina. Nothing in the cemetery. We got the church. The only thing in the church is Doru and so let's do the church one here. We're going to do the church. Church. There we go. And in the church, we are going to, who do we need in the church? Well, instead of going back through the book, we already have that right here. So we go to the church. We know in the chapel, we have an acolyte. So we need to find an acolyte from our compendium. Acolyte, there we go. So we're going to go back over to our characters here and drop him in the church. There's our acolyte, he's in the church. And the other location was Doru, the vampire spawn, and he is in the undercut. So we need a vampire spawn. Ugh, those things are nasty. So we're going to put that in the church. Do a vampire spawn, it goes in the church, right? Now we're going to go ahead and do the vampire spawn first. We have a picture of Doru already, comes from in the game. We right here in the church, he's in here. There he is. Wah! So we're going to go ahead and just put a picture of him in here. And we have him in the images, Village of Barovia, and there's Doru right there. And there we go. We got Doru already in there, and we're going to actually get rid of the name Vampire Spawn because we're going to use his name, Doru. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to just go ahead and drag and drop him right there. Oh, put him in the wrong area. Drag and drop him right here and get rid of the Vampire Spawn. Issue right here. Save. And there you go. You got Doru right there in the Undercroft. And we are going to update the picture of our acolyte here. This is game images. We want to use Village of Barovia, and we want to use Father Donovich. There he is. There's Father Donovich, and we're actually going to put his name in there. Father Donovich. There we go. He is done, and we just need to make sure we update our book over here, right? Because we have the church and he's in the chapel. Let's just go ahead and make sure that he's in there properly, in the chapel properly, Father Donovich. So we're going to delete this out of here, and we're just going to drag Father Donovich in here. Boom, hit save, and there we got Father Donovich. We can just bring up from our journal notes. So now we've got our characters. We got these characters, the tavern characters. Everything's looking really good so far. What other characters do we have? Well, we have Crazy Mad Mary, and we have Irina in the Burgermeister's Mansion. Right here, she's a noblewoman, so we need to find a noble. There we go. We got a noble, and so we're going to put in the Burgermeister's Mansion. We need that. We'll just put a mansion. Okay, create the folder, and we're just going to drag the noble into the mansion there. It's going to be Irina. We're going to change the name to Irina. There we go. And she's in the mansion, Irina. And was there any images of Irina in here? I don't know if there's, yeah, there she is right there. So we're going to use this image of her. Save image of Irina. We're just going to type in Irina. And we're going to go back here, open up Irina, and obviously put a nice picture of Irina that's more representative of our character in the game here. Village of Barovia, choose file. There we go, we've got Irina. Irina, there we go. And she should be loaded up in there. Did I pick that right? No, I didn't. Sorry about that. I was clicking too fast. I'm a fast clicker. Fast clicker. There she is. Good. Irina's in there. So we got Irina in here. we got the door in the church. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to just delete her out, and we're going to drag Irina in here. There we go. We've got Irina in there. Save her. We can always pop her out, and she has more hit points. They said that she had 12 hit points, so we're going to put her in there. Now, again, there's some alternatives for running Irina. You can go ahead and upgrade that if you want. We got the tavern. We're only missing Mad Mary, and we're missing something else, which I will tell you about in a second. So please hold on. Let's add in Mad Mary here. We're going to call it just Mad Mary. Crazy local yokel. Local yokel, Mad Mary. So let's read about Mad Mary. We got the Burgermeisters. Here's Mad Mary. She's a commoner. Those darn commoners. They're so common. It's a bad joke. Okay, so we're going to drive Mad Mary over here into the folder. We're going to call her Mad Mary because for whatever reason that's her name. Mad Mary. Right, and we're pretty much, we can, oh yeah, we want to put a picture in there of her too, right? Because we got this picture of Mad Mary. Why they have a picture of Mad Mary in here? I don't know. I'll open in a new window. We're going to hit save Mad Mary. Mad Mary, we're saving you. Here's Mad Mary. And I am going to find Mad Mary and put her in the images of Village of Barovia. Choose my file. There's Mad Mary. Open. Wait till it loads. Hit select. And now we've got Mad Mary. Now, let me just click this out. One other thing here is we've got Mad Mary, and I'm just going to hit enter, drag Mad Mary over here. I'm going to get rid of this part because I like this note that I have in here. Hit save. So now I've got her right there. I can just click on it and bring her up whenever I want to. So you notice now we've got two folders done. We've got our village folder done, and you notice what I did here in the village folder is like if I click on the chapel, you can see Father Donovan just linked right here. I can just bring him up from here. And then we have over in our character folders, we have the same color folder, and we have all the locations with all the creatures in each of those locations. Now, as the game moves on, you can always drag and drop and move these characters to different folders. So there's another group of factors that we need to make, and those are kind of random encounters and creatures. So let's just create a folder here, and we're just going to call this I don't know, creatures, because it might not just be monsters, it just might be creatures. You can call it whatever you like. And we're going to make this folder, just leave it black, and it's going to be a separate folder. And the reason we're going to do that, because when we go back to the village of Barovia, and we go approaching the village, we noticed in the beginning there was a table up here that a lot of the houses were empty, and some of them had swarm of rats, some of them had zombies, some of them had villagers in there, and I've also added my own campaign theme homebrew thing in here, so I'm going to add that as well. So we're going to go back here, and we're going to take a swarm of rats. We'll put that over here. And we got swarm of rats in there. You know what might be also fun is swarm of bats. We have bats in Barovia. Let's put some bats in there too. Not just rats, we'll put bats in there. So we got bats and rats. Bats and rats. We have a wolf, which I'm going to be using. I'll show you from my own little addition that I've made. And we have zombie. Now, I don't have the Strahd zombies in here. There's some unique Strahd zombies. So we're going to have the zombie, and we're going to do a duplicate of zombie. I'm going to open this up. And we're going to look at Strahd zombies. See, it says Strahd zombies here. And if I click on Strahd zombies, that's from the appendix, there's some unique stuff about the Strahd zombies. So what I'm going to do is in my zombie copy, I'm going to call this Strahd zombie, because he's a little bit different than the normal zombie. So the first thing I'm going to do is, what is really different than the normal zombie? Well, I have this description down here, so I'm going to grab this description. I'm going to control copy and go to my Strahd zombie and put it in the biography here. I'm going to just delete this out. This is just all the normal zombie stuff. I'm just going to put my Strahd zombie stuff in here. I'm also going to put a link in here as well. Hold on. I don't know why it's... There we go. I'm going to put a link right down here called Strahd Zombie. Because I might need to jump back here just in case. You just never know. And I'm going to just link Strahd Zombie down here. So I can always get back here if I need to get to the Strahd Zombie. I'm going to save that. So I can always click on this. It's going to bring me up to the Strahd Zombie. Now, what else do we know about the Strahd Zombie? Well, the Strahd Zombie has 30 hit points. It's 48 plus 12. So we need to make this 30 hit points. 30, 30, and this is 48 plus 12. So they're a little bit more powerful. 48 plus 12, replace 12. Now you only have to do all of this once, because once you save this, he's going to be in your actors area, and you can pull out as many of these as you want. So you just do it once. Get it done with, and it's done with. Now, his features, the Strahd Zombie has some unique attacks. It has multi-attack. Zombie makes 3 attacks. Oh my gosh. A bite and 2 with its claws. So we got to put the bite in and the claws in. So let's add the bite. Makes 3 attacks. This is one main zombie. So we're going to go hit add right here. And we're just going to put this one in and edit it. We're going to call this one the bite. And we can put the details in right here and just say, okay, what is it? What happens? What's the description? It's +3, and it's a 1d4 plus 1. +3 melee attack, 1d4 plus 1. So we go over and click on, oh, I didn't mean to, trying to, there we go, hit that. So it's weapon, it's a just a simple melee attack. Activation cost is 1. It's an action. Let's just bring this up here. And it's a melee weapon attack. It's got a plus what to hit? I just read it. It's right here in the description. +3 to hit. So we're going to put attack roll bonus is +3 to hit. And the damage formula here is, for the bite was 1d4 plus 1. 1d4 plus 1 piercing. There we go. And so that's done. We can check that right now. Let's just go to it here and go ahead and roll this, see if this bite works. Okay, normal roll, there it goes, and the damage is 1d4 plus 1. So we're going to add another one of these. This one here is the claw attack. So we're going to grab a copy. That's going to be a +3 with a 1d6 plus 1, slashing. So we're going to go back here, going to edit this. We're going to call this claw. These are mean zombies, I'm going to tell you. Would hate to be coming across. These guys get 3 attacks. That's just brutal. Details. So this is a weapon attack, melee weapon attack. It's a +3 to hit. The damage is 1d6 plus 1. And we're done. Now, you can, if you want, and I'll just show you here. I'll just show you on the bite. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. You can make a picture here if you want to. So if I go up here, I might have some images of some... Do I have a bite? I could do an undead bite, yeah. There you go, look at that. Now you have an image of the attack. I have one of a claw too, check this out. So I like to just really bring some more flavor to the game by just throwing some images in there so you just don't have that blank image. So I have attacks. Oh, I have a claw here. I think I have a... No, I have the claw here. Here we go. We'll use this claw here. Select. There you go. So now, I'll just delete this. When I do the attacks over here, it has a little image so they can see there's a byte image there. They can, you know, you can hit the attack and then you go, there's your roll, there's your damage roll. Look at, so you got it all in there. Let's just check out the claw. We got the claw, it's attacking, and there's the damage roll. Boom. So this is working really well for me. I got this all done. I got my Strahd zombie. My Strahd zombie is right here. So I got my Strahd zombie, swarm of bats, swarm of rats, wolf, and zombie all done. Remember we were talking about, let's get back to Curse of Strahd here. So we have some other creatures in there, and that's what we went ahead and added in there. So let's just do a review really quick. We have our Village of Barovia NPCs in the various locations, and we just have a creatures folder, which we're going to be adding more and more of these creatures to. Now, my creatures folders are not proper names, they're just zombies and rats, and spiders and stuff like that. The proper NPCs, I put them in their proper folder. So for instance, Irina, Valordanovich, etc., will be in there. So we have gotten that. So let's talk about the next thing we've got to do here. So let's just go here, and step 4, creating items. So the items looks like the briefcase up here, and we're going to go ahead and talk about creating items here. So let's do that. So we're going to go up there, and guess what we're going to do? First thing we're going to do is we're going to open up this folder so I can get the color, so I don't have to memorize the color. Copy. And we're going to take a folder called Village of Barovia. Village of Barovia. And we're going to, I'm still not used to this keyboard. Got a Portuguese keyboard. There we go. Village of Barovia, and we're going to put our items in there. Do we have any items? Well, we already do have some items. So let's take a look at some of those items right now from our folder. If we go in here, when we were at the church, you remember in the office, we saw some items. So let's just leave this here. We're going to go to here. We're going to add a folder called the church. There's our church folder, and we're going to create some items. Now, the way we're going to create the items is we're going to go to the compendium, and there should be an items directory right here. And I got ink bottle and pen, ink pen. So we're just going to go ahead and put those already in the church folder. So I got an ink bottle. Remember, we found the ink bottle, and we found the ink pen. There we go. Both of those are done. And what else did we have in there? We had candles. There we go. We're going to grab a candle. We might have multiple candles, but no big deal. We're going to put the candle in there in the folder. So we have our candle. Oh, we have parchment. Got to have some parchment, right? There we go. So they found some parchment, and they found some books. So I think they might have a generic book in here. Nope, maybe not. Yeah, they do. So we're going to drag this book over here. I'm going to drag 2 books in. I didn't put it in the folder right away, so let me fix that. So we have 2 books. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on this book here. And we're going to grab this title, Control copy, and put that in there. And we're going to say volumes of, a volume of Chants of the Morning Lord. I'm just going to put that in here like that. Save. So we got that book of hymns. And what was the other book here? The other book was the Blade of Truth. And I'm just going to leave it in the Blade of Truth. Okay. So I can put the Blade of Truth in here. And then I'm going to grab all this other content here. Copy. Delete all this stuff. And there we go. We've got our books in here. And now I'm going to do what I did before and check this out. I'm just going to delete all this stuff. And so this is what they're going to find in there. They got some candles. They got this hymn book. They've got this other book. They've got the ink bottle. They got the ink pen. And they got the parchment. I hit save, and look, they're all in there. So now I can just click on these things. I can actually make more quantity of it for the players if I want to. Here's a book item. So I have all the stuff in the office ready to go. Now, what else did we have in here? Let's go look at our other stuff. In the mercantile exchange, we're not going to fill up his mercantile exchange. There's nothing in the church. Oh, Mad Mary. Mad Mary's place. She had a doll. There's no doll in here. So we're going to have to make something. Right? So we're going to make something from scratch. So we're going to go over to our thing and we're going to put in Mad Mary. Hit create folder, and we're going to create an item, and it's a loot item, and we're going to call it a malformed doll. I don't know why I'm calling it doll. A malformed doll. Mad Mary's create item. There we have it. Now we're going to do something here. We need an image. Let's find Blinsky doll. See if somebody made one. Blinsky doll. Somebody might have made a Blinsky doll image. Oh yeah, we got some right here. Kind of a malformed crazy doll. There's Blinsky, all right. He's in the campaign. Let's see if there's a cool Blinsky doll. Let's just use this one right here. This looks kind of funny. So we're going to save this image. We're going to call this Blinsky doll. Hit save. There we go. We're going to go back in here. We're going to go images. We're going to go to images, Village of Barovia, choose file, Blinsky doll, select file, and we want to put some stuff in there. So we're going to grab this, copy this text in here. We're going to put this in here and hit that, hit save, and I think we're pretty good to go. So now we can go over just like we did before. We can just grab this item out of Mad Mary's place and drag it right in here and hit save. So now there's the doll. Pretty cool. So now we've got, let's just review quickly. We've got our main folder, and we've been going to this folder, going back to this folder, and just been adding stuff to the folder. As you can see, links to everything. We have our items directory. We've got a couple of items that people are finding. We've got all our characters and creatures. So what is next? What do we need to do next? Let's just check our next step. I hope you guys are having fun. I am. Step 5, tables. Gotta love the tables. So there's a little thing up here in the screen. It shows you pictures of the tables. We're going to create some tables. And there's actually some tables here from the Village of Barovia. We're going to go ahead and add them in here and show you how we go ahead and do that. So let me get the tables. Whoop, didn't mean to do that. Get the tables squared away. There we go. So we're going to click on some tables. And guess what we're going to do? Just like we have in everyone else, we're going to hit edit folder, copy this color, boom, hit close, and go to tables, and we're going to create a folder called Village of Barovia. And we're going to put the color in so they all remain color coded the same. The reason I do the color coding is as I'm making more areas, as you can see, when I go to each one of these folders, whether it's my journals or my characters or actors, I just know that all of them are in the same color. So I can quickly just go, oh, this is my items from Village of Barovia. This is my characters from Village of Barovia. You know, it's just really easy. So now we're going to create a table. So let's go ahead and create our first table. And it's actually in here in the house occupants. We have this house occupants table. It's a 1d20 random table. So remember, some of the houses in the Village of Barovia are either empty, or there's rats, or Barovian villagers, or there's straw zombies. And I'm just gonna make it fun and throw in some bats too. I mean, why not make it a little bit different? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this as our, so we have house occupants of the houses in Barovia, okay, in the village. So we go back here, and that's what we're gonna call this table, boom. And we are going to figure out what's gonna go in each of these tables. And we're gonna do that by going to our creatures, and we're gonna go swarm of bats, a swarm of rats, Strahd zombies. Oh, and we don't have any commoners. We got to add some commoners. So let's just go ahead and go to the compendium one more time, and we're going to just go monsters and commoner. There we go. And we're going to put those into creatures as well, because we're going to run into commoners all the time. So we'll just put those in here. We're just going to call this Barovian Villager. Sure. There we go. And we're going to drag him in there too. So let's find out what the tables were. So they had rats and bats. 1 to 3 was nothing. We're going to make it 1 to 2 was nothing. So we have to add another result. And that's going to be text. Empty. Empty home. And we're going to make that results 1 to 2. And then 3 to 4 are the bats. 5 to 6 are the rats. What were the Strahd zombies? Oh, 17 to 20. Strahd zombies were 17 to 20. 20. And the actors are going to be 7 to 16. What do they have them in here? Oh, they had a lot more bats and rats. So we're going to make it 9 to 16. 9 to 16. 9 to 16. And we're going to make this 1 to 3. And this is 4 to 6. This is going to be 7 to 8. There we go. Yeah, update. This should be all organized. There we go. You open the door to the home and find ... And this is a D20. So we'll just type in D20 here. And let's give it a shot. See how it works out. Let's just clear this up. Okay, and roll. Boom, Barovia Villagers. There we got a Barovian Villager there. And see, it's got the icon. We just pop it up right away. Let's do it again. What else do we got? Oh, Strahd Zombie. It's not good. And, you know, they got that nasty bite and claw attack. Okay. So we got that table complete. Now, are there any other tables? Why, yes, there are. If we go to the previous chapter, there's some stuff about Barovians here. And they have a bunch of lore here, the Devil's Strahd, so about Strahd and vampires, about Barovia and beliefs and superstitions. So we're going to create 3 tables. We're going to do Barovia, and that's about Strahd and vampires, and create this table. And so when you ask about Strahd and vampires, they tell you blank blank blank, and we're going to add a result right here. Now these tables are just awesome, right? So I can just copy and paste this text. So they run into a villager, they're in the bar talking to somebody, or the bartender. I can just run this table and we're good to go. Okay, I'm going to add another text and just do this one here. Copy, paste. I'm going to do another text. I'm going to add this one here. Ooh, a vampire must rest in a coffin. Of course. Crazy vampires. Vampires cannot enter unless you invite them in. Put that in there. And we got one more. Let's add that one in there. Running water. Oh, they don't like running water. They don't take showers. Crazy vampires. Okay. And this is a 5. Now, one of the things that's really cool about Foundry is you don't have to have the exact dice. You can just go, okay, this is just a D5, right? Even though there's no such thing as a D5 dice, you have 5 outcomes. So let's just check this out. We're going to roll it. And when you ask about Strahd and vampires, they tell you the Devil's Strahd is a cursed place of the curse placed on the land because of a forgotten sin of the Barovians' ancestors. You roll it again. Talk to somebody else at the bar. The Devil's Strahd. Oh, he says the same thing. The guy doesn't know that much. Strahd is a vampire and dwells in the castle Ravenloft. No one is welcome to the castle. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and do another table. So we're going to make another table. Then we got a Barovia. About Barovia. If they ask about Barovia, what are the people going to say? When you ask about Barovia, they tell you dot. If I can spell you. My mic's in the way. I'm wrapping my hand around the mic. Okay, I'm making excuses now. Okay. The land of Barovia. Barovians know the following facts of Homa. So here you go. Copy, paste the text. Add another one. Here we go. Copy, paste the text. Add the next one. I'm going to go copy, paste the text. Go to the next one. So what you're doing is you're pulling on all this stuff, this content, and just designing your own kind of tables and everything so that you can engage with your players without having to flip through books and stop and pause the game. The last thing you want to do in a game is just slow it down. You want to keep the players constantly engaged. Role-playing is a huge element. These kind of random responses with tidbits of lore and stuff is really going to help them, because a big part of Curse of Strahd and a lot of campaigns are trying to discover and learn about some history, because you got to find some locations and find ways of dealing with your foes. Okay, D8, because there's 8 choices, and we're going to go roll and see how this one comes out. When you ask about Barovia, they tell you a mad wizard of a great power haunts the foothills of Mount Baratok. He's an outsider and no friend of the vampires. It's a pretty interesting bit of information that you've gotten from a Barovian villager. Okay, let's go ahead. We've got one more, I think, to add in here. Yes, superstitions. So we're going to go ahead and add Barovian superstitions. We're going to add that table as well. Okay. Barovia superstitions. Did I spell that right? No. Superstitions. I'm a horrible speller. And I'm an author. Go figure. Okay, here we go. Beliefs and superstitions. Here we go. First one is a text. And we're going to add another one is, see, this is, this might seem mundane, but it's these little things that really enhance the game. It's these little things that are going to give clues to the players. It's these things that really going to enrich the game and give the players, sometimes it's that one little clue that's going to be pivotal in them solving a problem, or part of this magical experience that you want them to have. Never harm a raven. It's a good one. If you know Curse of Strahd, you don't want to be harming ravens. If asked about their beliefs, they answer with ... And this is a D6 because there's 6 outcomes. Let's check this one out. There you go. Vistani served the devil's straw. They're alone. Are all allowed to leave Barovia, those bastards. The presence of the Mother Night is felt most strongly between dusk and dawn, although nighttime prayers to her go unanswered. It is widely believed that she has forsaken the Barovian people and sent the devil's straw to punish them for their ancestors' offenses. Now, just like we did before, what I'm going to do with these tables, so we've got these tables here, and we're going to go to the tavern, right? So I got the tavern here. And I'm going to go over here to my table, and I'm going to go in here and about Barovia. And I've got these tables, so I can grab this one here, hit enter. I've got this one here, hit enter, and I got this one here and hit enter. So I hit save, and if they're in there, I can say, oh, you're talking to one of the Vistanis. Oh, and you ask about Barovia. What does she say? Oh, she tells you the town of Vistani lies in the heart of Vlaki lies in the heart of the valley. Its burgomaster is named Baron Vargas Valakovich. So, you know, you just roll on the tables. You got about Barovia, Strahd, vampires, and superstitions. And we've just put this again in our journal notes, because this is kind of our own journal to run our campaign. I mean, this is just awesome. How cool is Foundry? It's really cool. Okay, so we've done our tables. Oh, I think we need to put our tables in one other place. Yes, we're going to put it in the village of Barovia here, and I'm going to put this down here because this is if they run into some occupants of the houses. I want to just have this saved in here just in case, so I can go in here and see what happens with these buggers. These buggers. Okay, so where does that leave us? Well, let's look at our PowerPoint. We are now on step 6, creating the scenes. This is what everybody's waiting for, because everybody's really into the maps. And let's talk about the maps before we jump into it. So that's the third icon over. It looks like a kind of a folded map. There are 3 types of maps that I use in my campaign. I use actual maps like the Village of Barovia, and I'm going to show you how I use that. I also use Theater of the Mind maps a lot. And what a Theater of the Mind map is, it's just a static or an animated a picture that my players can see. And I put my players usually along the bottom. They can interact with their characters, and it's a static picture that's, you know, worth 1,000 words. And I can put my NPCs in there as well to interact. And you can even run kind of an abstract combat. If it's in like a shop or something, you don't need to have an entire battle map for a shop. You can just have your NPCs, and you know if they're standing next to each other or if there's a little distance. You know, distance is just abstract, but you can just run your combat encounter in there. And last, and one of the coolest, are the battle maps. And battle maps serve really 2 purposes. One is to explore using the fog of war. They're looking for treasures and secret doors, and it's also really good for combat. So we're going to make all 3 of those maps for the village of Barovia. So let's go ahead and get that going here. So we're going to go back to here, and we're going to talk about scenes. So look, we got our tables, we've got our journal, we've got our items, we've got our characters, and now we're going to do our scene. So we're going to create 2 folders here, but we're going to do the first one. We'll just do the Village of Barovia folder, which you guys are already familiar with. Okay, edit this one because we want the same color. Don't want to forget the color, right? Boom. And this is the Village of Barovia. Okay, and we hit create folder, and we have our Village of Barovia here, and we're going to create our first scene here. And our first name of our first scene is going to be Village of Barovia, dash, and I type Map. Okay, and we're going to create that. And you're going to get this thing pop up. And what we need to do is find our picture. So we're going to go to Village of Barovia here. We're going to go to the next chapter, which is the village. And there's a map here. Now you'll notice there's two maps. One says player version and one says, you know, the DM version, whatever. We want to click on the player version because it doesn't have any of those numbers on it. We want to right click and open as a new image because it's going to give you a large image. We're going to save this image. We're going to call this village map. And now we're going to select that image, the file path right here. We're going to find our assets library. We're just going to leave it in the village of Barovia, that's fine. Because I'm making that just for this. And put the village map in here. It's going to take a while for it to load. There it is. Hit select. And I hit save changes. It says yes. And now I've got my village map here for the players to use. Now, one of the things I do on my village map, this is a little different than what a lot of people do, is I give my players access to this map. And we're going to just customize this a little bit. We're not going to make it too crazy, but we're going to right click up here, hit configure. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rechange my grid squares a little bit here. I don't have the grid square tool, which is kind of too bad, set up on here. So I'm going to make this grid square smaller and make them 50. I think that's going to be pretty good. Yeah, it can be pretty good. It should be okay. Just we can go back and fix this later. And I'm going to go ahead and hide the grid capacity. I'm going to give it global vision so they can see everything. I'm going to set the darkness level up about a little bit here and hit save changes. And this is my village map. Now what I'm going to do is in my tokens over here, I'm going to create a new folder called players. Now I don't even have any players yet for my game. But I got a new one. I'm just going to make this really green so we know this is my players folder. Bright green. There we go. Actually, it's a little too green for me. Let's make it a little darker green. There we go. And put that at the very top. And the creatures right here. In my players folder, I'm going to create a token, player character token, and I'm just going to call it the party token. This is for all the players. Okay. And I'm just going to grab a, image. Let's find a D&D party. Let's see if we got any images. Here we go. Let's just use these people here. I'm going to save this, save as my D&D party. Usually I like to use a shield sometimes to represent the entire party, but we're just going to try something different here. And I'm going to use my assets library, images, Village of Barovia, and we're going to choose our D&D party. Get it there. There it is. D&D party. I should be in there. I don't know why it didn't come up. Maybe I didn't do it right. Images, Village of Barovia, D&D party. Select. There you go. And then you hit close. And what you're going to do is you can drag this out on the map. Maybe I should use a shield. Let's go and change this to make it a shield. Shield. Sometimes shields are better. I can't spell with it. Crap. There we go. We're just going to use a shield. We're going to use PNG. Shield arms. I'm going to make it PNG. Just a shield to represent the entire party. It kind of stands out, and I like this kind of, something that stands out. Like this round one PNG is going to work really well. So I'm going to hit save image, and I'm going to call this the D&D party. I'm going to change it. Yes, I want to replace you, and I am going to go to my party token, and I'm going to go to images, and I'm going to go choose file, D&D party, load, and select, and there we go. That's a little bit better. Get rid of this one. So what happens with my D&D party token? Oh, come on. Really? I thought the prototype token was good. Image. Oh, that's why. There we go. Let me fix that. Okay. Kind of screwed that up. There we go. So this represents my party traveling through the village, right? So I've got the village map here, on here, and the village map right here is, I'm going to go ahead and mark a bunch of stuff on the village, and I'm going to create an entire another journal entry right here, create folder. I'm going to call this Players Journal. Then we're going to make this a different color altogether. We're going to make this the same green, same puke green. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder called Village of Barovia. In there. And I'm going to put in there church folder. Oh, church, this should be a church journal entry. Sorry, church. Close. I'm going to put another one in there called Blood and Vine Tavern. You're wondering, why am I duplicating all of this stuff? Didn't I just do all this? Well, you're going to see what I'm doing. So, patience. Patience. Virgo Mastas Mansion. Create. We're going to do another one called the Cemetery or Graveyard. Graveyard. Create. Oh, Blinsky's. Oh, sorry. Bill Drith's shop. Okay, so we got the church, graveyard, Virgin Mansion, Blood and Vine Tavern. Oh, Mad Mary's. Mary's home. Okay. Now, when we go back to the game here, we'll see that it says E5 here, right? So what we're going to do in the game is we're going to take the church. We're going to drag that church over on top of the church, and they allow you to use some vision. So we have do we have a cross or something here? Castle, cave, chest, city, ruins, obelisk, temple, tower. I thought there was like a religious thing right here. Skull, trap, tower, temple, tankard, ruins, obelisk, mountain, house, hanging sign, coins, fire bridge, cave, castle, barrel. Which one should we be using for the church? We'll use the temple there for the church. So I'll update that. So there's the church, and we're going to grab the graveyard, and we're going to drag that over here. And the graveyard might have a skull or crossbones, castle, chest, city, coins, fire, hanging sign, mountain, oak tree, palm print, ruins, tankard, temple, trap, skull. There we go. Skull. There we go. We're going to grab one for the tavern. We're going to put that right on the top of the tavern, and we're going to go to tankard. There you go. Here's the tavern. This is Bildress Mercantile place. We're going to drag that one here. I think there's a hanging sign. You know, here we go. Hanging sign. It's a shop. There we go. There's a Burgermeister's home, mansion. We'll put a home there. Maybe there's a mansion or a bigger house. There's a temple, sword, statue, whatever. We'll just put a house on there. There you go, Burgermeister's home. And we also have Mad Mary's home, which I believe is right here. Let's just double check the map. Yeah, right there. I was right. Mary's home. We're going to put that right here and use another home icon. Okay, now what we're doing with this entire folder is confirm positions. All players are owners. So that means every one of these things in here, confirm permissions, they're all players are owners. So all the players are owners of these, of all the journal's entries. And what this allows the player to do is the player can now click on any one of these things and start filling out their own journal notes for all the players. And we've marked on the map, we've pinned them on the map, so they can see these pins on the map. And we can move their token around here on the map. So they can see the tokens on the map, and we can go ahead and move the players around, on the map if they're exploring the map. This is the entire party, not the individual tokens. So I always like to put that player journal in there. I'm also going to give the players, when I configure this, I'm going to give the players access to navigate to this map. Okay, let me just get rid of this thing at the bottom, save changes. So now the players can always activate and get to this map. We have a party token for all the players, so they can move around as a party on this map. And then they can leave their own notes and pictures and stuff in their own journal entry. So I have that as green players. So every place, every area I go to, I have a folder in here underneath the player's journal. Now let's go back to ours. Here we've got our map here of Barovia, and we are going to go ahead and put in on this is the player's map. We're going to get our own maps for each one of these areas. So we don't really care about these are for the players, but we are going to need a map for this tavern. So what are we going to do for the tavern map? Well, we're going to use a Theater of the Mind map. So we're going to do Blood and Vine Tavern. I'm going to type in Blood and Vine. Blood and Vine Tavern. Hit OK, create tavern. And I need to find an image of a tavern. So I'm going to go online and I'm going to go Tavern Fantasy. And I'm just going to go Google Images. And is there a good looking tavern that I want to use? For inside a tavern. This one gets used a lot. I actually have used this one before. So I'm going to go ahead and save image. And I have this as Blood and Vine Tav. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. We're going to make a Theater of the Mind map right here. So I'm going to go and do the file path and go to Images, Village of Barovia, choose File, and I'm going to go Blood and Vine Tav, open. It's going to load up. Select. I'm going to hit save. And here's my Blood and Vine Tavern. Now what I'm going to do is just make a quick, you can watch my videos on making Theater of the Mind maps, but technically what you're doing is you're just going to put a quick wall around the outside of the map on here like this, really quick, nothing fancy. Oh, what happened? I kind of got a little carried away. There we go. So I've got this, and if you want to, this is where you can put some lighting effects in here. I want some candle lighting going on. You can put some candle lights in here. You want a little torch flicker. Make this a little orange or yellow. Update some light, and you got some torch lighting. And this is now going to be your tavern map. Now, let's just do a couple things in here. I always like to do. I'm going to turn the grid capacity off. I'm going to make the background like the same color as one of these map areas, like this woody color here. I'm going to do global illumination. This is the darkness level to about 50%. You know, and there you go. You've got your tavern map for your characters on here. You can drag your characters in here. You've got this kind of theater of the mind map. But what we want to do is for our journal entry is we want to grab the journal entry and put it right up here. Okay. And we're just going to put it here. The players can't see this. This is just for you. So you can click on this, right? And now if I need to bring some characters in here, we're going to have Ismark in here. Right, so let's go to the tavern, and we have the barkeep. I'm just going to put him over there, and I have Ismark. He's over here. Why is Ismark's image? Oh, you know what? Because I don't have the. I do the prototype token. I forgot about that. Image is Ismark. My apologies. I forgot about this. Village of Brovia, Ismark. Select. Update token, get rid of this doofus token, and just drag Ismark over there. There we go. There's Ismark. He's sitting over here, right, wanting to talk to us. I can grab the Marabella and the other actors and put them in here. I usually use circular tokens or upright. I don't use the head down tokens, but you know, you can change these. And what you want to do on these tokens, by the way, is you want to get rid of the names here. Make sure that the names are appropriate to the to each one of them. So here we got Ismark. Just make sure all these are correct. I forgot to do this. You should do this in the prototype tokens as well, so that when we're hovering over here, here's Ismark, players can talk to him. So now you've got your tavern, you've got your notes up here. If I need to, you know, if they ask about something in here, I can just go, oh, they're going to ask him about Barovia. What do they say? Oh, the town of Valaki lies in the heart of the valley. Its burgomaster is named the Baron Vargas Valakovich, you know, or whatever you want to do. You can do your own voice acting or whatever. But you've got everything built into to here, and you're already ready to go. Now, what we did with Ismark, remember we didn't put his biography in. Let me do that real quick. Let's just go through these maps and get these maps squared away. So we got the village of Balaki. We're going to do the other maps. We need to create a map for the church. So I'll do the church map. And the church map is already built in here. Here's the church. Here's the player's version of the church map. So you're going to open, and you're just going to go save as church. Church map. So we got the church map saved, and we're going to just load that up from the village images that we've been adding here. Here's the church. Wait till it loads, hit select, save changes. Did I click save changes? Did I do that wrong? Hold on. Church. Oh, there we go. Yes. Here we go. So here's the church map. Now I haven't done the walls yet, but I mean, once you get to learn how to do these walls, it's really, really simple. And there's a bunch of tutorials on there, but it's pretty, you know, pretty quick. You just, you know, you boom, 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 boom. I'm not doing this super perfect, but you can see how fast you can just put these walls in here and just kind of get them done, you know. So once you get all your walling done and everything, what you're going to do with this map, and I'm not going to do all the walling for you, I've already done that for this in my actual campaign, is we're going to go to the journal entry, and we're going to click on church, and we have all these areas here. So we have the hallway. We're going to drag that over here. Then you can just leave it as hallway, so you can hover over it. We have the office, which is right here. Okay. We have the trapdoor room, which is right here. We have the undercroft, which is right here. Again, you're going to want to line up all these squares and all that kind of stuff. We have the chapel, which is right up here. We have Donovich's bedroom, which is here. And we have Doro's bedroom, which is here. We're also going to, so I'm populating it as I'm drawing them. And actually, to tell you the truth, what I should be doing here is, I'm doing the maps and I'm populating them at the same time. So I'm actually kind of doing part 2 and part 3 at the same, I'm sorry, part 6 creating the scenes and part 7 at the same time. So what you should be doing is getting all your maps, but what I'm doing is I'm populating them now with the journal notes. So let's go through what the other maps we have to do is in Barovia. So we have the vine, the church, the village of Barovia. We want to do another scene for the Bildriths scene, and we're going to create that scene, and we're going to do another fantasy. We're going to look something up. We're going to do a fantasy shop. And what one looks like a Bildrith's shop where you would be buying some stuff at it. There's quite a few good looking images for fantasy shops here. This one is the one I think I actually use, like an old pharmacy looking shop. So we're just going to save this and call this Bildrith's. I'm going to save that, and I'm just going to go ahead and choose that file. There's Bildrith's. Okay, select. So here's Bildrith's shop here. Again, I'm going to have to turn this into a Theater of the Mind map. Let's go to the next scene that I have, which is going to be the cemetery. Now, I actually made, or graveyard, I have a whole nother campaign thing that's a homebrew thing that I'm going to do with this. So let me show you where this is. This is a pretty cool map I've actually made for one of my guides. Actually, it's in my documents, maps, Barovia Church, graveyard. We'll just put graveyard, no grid. This is a big map. Load, please, load my graveyard. It's a high-res map, no grid. So it might take a little while. I don't know why it's taking so. There it goes. Hit save. It's going to take a little while for it to process this whopper of a map. It's going to go, this dimensions are just gigantic dimensions. Okay, so here it is. So I actually made this in Dungeon Draft, and this is my graveyard scene. So we're going to have to, this is a battle map in here, and you can see we're going to have to wall this off and you know, use some glass walls for the to go around the edge here. So I'm not going to do everything right now, but what you want to do is you want to start doing all your walling and getting this all ready for your maps. Now, what I've done in the graveyard scene, I'll just show you. This is a map that does not come with the game. This is a map that I've made in Dungeon Draft. And what I'm going to have here in here is, and you can do these really cool terrain walls here. Like I've got a giant statue here that I'm gonna terrain wall off. The players coming see this giant statue. It's kind of cool. What happens here is when they're burying the Burgermeister, who's passed away, Ismark's father, Strahd's going to be out here and he's going to try to charm Irina, and then they're all going to be attacked by Strahd zombies. So what I need to do in this one, right, I'm going to have to update that. So I got this map, I got my graveyard, my church, and by the way, we need to go in here and retitle these things. So I'm going to go in here and configure Buildress, and I'm going to put a dash M, so I know this is a Theater of the Mind map. Save. I'm going to do configure. I'm going to do a dash M, so I know this is a Theater of the Mind map. Church configure is a dash B for a battle map. Graveyard is configure is a dash B for battle map. And I got the village map. So these are my maps that I have in here. So I got 2 Theater of the Mind maps, 2 battle maps already. The Burgermeisters, that's another one that's going to be a battle map. Burgomaster. And I have a map for that as well already. So let me find that map. That is going to be on Village of Barovia maps. Might be my Burgermeister. Yeah. So this is going to be a battle map as well. So I have my Burgermeister map. I gotta do all my walls for this one. And Burgermeister, I've got to configure. This is a battle map, so I'm going to put a B after it, just so I know it's a battle map. And so I got the Blood and Vine. I got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th location is Mad Mary's, right? So I got Cemetery, Church, Mad Mary's, Burgermeister. Yes, Mad Mary's. And what I'm going to do for Mad Mary's is I'm just going to have a outside, village map. Village fantasy home. See what I can get here is a kind of an old village fantasy home. Kind of outside, looks like Mad Mary's little home. Looks kind of, let's make it dark. See if that makes it, yeah, it can't look too nice. So something looks like Mad Mary's little home that fits in with this kind of narrative story that we're doing. It might be something like this. This is her home right here. So I'm going to view this file here. I'm going to save image, Mad Mary home. Again, I'm not doing all the walling on this. That's going to take a little bit of time. You guys can watch videos on how to do that, but I just want to get building this campaign so you can see how it's done. Mad Mary. This is a Theater of the Mind map. So I'm going to create an image. I'm going to use the GM path for Mad Mary. And where is Mad Mary's home? Right here. Okay. So I got Mad Mary's home. So here's her home. She's gonna be crying and screaming. This is her little residence here. Now, if you do have an encounter, you want to do maybe fantasy home battle map for a generic battle map. See if we can find one. Indoor village home. there's a ton of stuff on the internet. I mean, you can find stuff on Reddit, just, you know, all kinds of villages, you know, Barovia village home battle map. Maybe someone's made one. Who knows? Okay, here's like something you could probably use. Yeah, so we're just going to use this here. Here's a simple map. We're going to go save as, and we're going to call it a village home. And this is going to be a generic battle map that we're going to use, and I'm going to explain why we're going to use this map here. So we're going to use village home. This is a battle map. Oh, come on. Here we go. And file path is select village battle map. This is so when they're it hasn't loaded yet. Load. And there it is. This is so if they go and visit a house, and we're going to roll the random encounter, this is what's going to be in there. So we got the village home map, and let's just check this out. Now I'm going to show you something really quick on here. I'm going to fix this up really quick for you to show you how I'm going to set this up, because this is an important one. So here's our grid. We're going to change our grid squares down, make them pretty small. See how that looks. That looks pretty all right. We're going to use that. Commit to changes. We're going to bring up the darkness level quite a bit. Hit save. And I'm just going to do some quick walling to show you what how I'm going to use this map. So I'm going to just go boom. So it looks like there is a door here and some windows. Okay, so we're just going to do this here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, this is just quick. Okay, and is this the cellar? Oh yeah, this is the cellar. Check this out. This is cool because now you got a cellar too. Okay, let's put some windows, the door in right here. Come on, door. Door. Let's fix this wall here because I did a crummy job of that. And this window, I did a crummy job with this window. I'm just going to bring this up. There we go. Put the window in here. A couple windows. There's one. There's two. There's also, oh, here's three. And there is an invisible wall, which is a curtain, which I'll just put right there. We can put some terrain stuff out. It's not terrain. We can put some terrain stuff outside, like this right here. A tree. Here's another small tree. Let's put a terrain wall out here. Kind of one right here. Create some shadowing. Now, this is going to be our generic village battle map, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this. Let's just finish this up really quick. I'm going to get rid of the lines, hit save changes, and what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to my village, and I'm just going to put this over here because this has this has the table in it to roll for house occupants. And so what you want to do here, right, because there's going to be multiple house occupants, and I forgot to add that secondary table in, is we've got our creatures. We're going to grab some Barovian villagers. We're just going to place them right here. And actually, I'm going to show you a trick. You're going to hold Alt down and drag them out here. They'll be invisible. So I'm going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4 villagers. We're going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4 strong zombies. We're going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4 swarms of bats, and 1, 2, 3, 4 swarms of rats. I leave them invisible on here so that when they go check, my players are right here. I'm gonna have some players, let's say I have some players that are outside. They want to check inside this house. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this here. And I rolled bats privately, a swarm of bats. And I want to determine how many bats. Now let's say I want to roll, I'm going to do a RD4 to determine how many groups of bats are going to show up. And it's 1. So what I can do is I can just drag one of these bats in, populate it, turn it on, and my players go in there, and I can go ahead and begin my combat encounter. I have my bats in here. I think they're flying around upside down. Yeah, there you go. Maybe it looks like they were upside down. So now they can begin their combat encounter right in here. And I just keep all the creatures over here on the side invisible, and I have this is already right here. I just open it up. I have some information about the village, and I can go ahead and run this over and over again. So this is just going to be the standard village battle map combat encounter. In fact, it's cool because you've got a second floor, like there's this trapdoor that takes you down to the basement. You can have some zombies down in the basements ready to attack. But I just stack them all over here invisible. I can drag them in based on how I roll off my occupants of the house encounter. You know, if I roll in and it's empty, then there's nothing in there. They can go in there and search it. You can also decide to put some various loot items in here if you want to as well, you know, just to change it up a little bit. Now on the Burgermeister's Manor, I ran another encounter, which is in the guide that I'm writing to Village of Barovia, and I have a bunch of wolves that are going to try to break into these windows. And so I have another roll table to determine which window is they're going to come through. So I'm going to build another roll table and, you know, create my own homebrew. So as they're staying here with Irina and Ismark, here's the body of the father that they're going to go bury at the church. They're going to be attacked by wolves at night, and I'm going to determine which window breaks using a roll table and how many wolves are going to attack them. And it's something that I'm designing for my own homebrew adventure. When we look at when we get to our graveyard here, once I've got all the walls done and everything in there, when they're going to be burying the Burgermeister here in one of these empty crypts, then I'm going to have a bunch of zombies attack them. So I'm going to probably have a bunch of my zombies already here. They're going to be invisible, you know, and I'm going to pre-populate the map with a bunch of invisible zombies by just, you know, controlling and have them just populated all over the map, so that when they're burying the Burgermeister, then they can get attacked here. You know, we can add lighting effects and what have you. So right now we're in the populating phase of building our area for our campaign. So we've got our maps here. Our Village of Barovia. We have the various Theater of the Mind maps, which are going to be just a picture or a animated picture. The whole purpose of this is so that the players can see, have a common frame of reference. They can interact with NPCs, access their character sheets. And again, on each one of these, we're going to have to start populating these with our notes. So the Burgermeister's, we're going to grab his notebook here. So I'm going to have the notebook on the screen. Oh, update. And so here I have everything I need, all my notes for this encounter. This scene is right here. I have my NPCs. I have the adventurers gear. I can just click on this and see what kind of adventure gear they have. Now I can create a table of adventure gear. There's a module called Loot Sheet, which I would definitely recommend using. But I've got my characters here, and I can also drag my characters. I'll have them in the scene as well. Perry Whipple and whatnot will be in the scene. But we want to keep those journal notes succinct, tight, just a little bit of text with links to the different stuff. The same thing when we're in the church. As you're going through the church, you know, they get into the office and they find something. I can say, oh, you found this book. What I can do in the item here is I can take that item from the church, and one of the players takes it. I can right click in the item. I can configure position and give it to one of the players as an owner, and they can now own that particular item. Now again, there's modules to do this, so you can pick it up and drop it, but you can do this already without just in core Foundry. So each one of these notes you're going to place on here, you can see in battle maps you're going to have multiple notes, right? So I have multiple notes in here. Next thing we do is we're going to populate our creatures in here. So in our village of Barovia in the church, I have Doru. I'm going to grab him. I'm going to place him over here. Again, I have to do forgot to do my token here. Just let me do my token image and get this fixed. I apologize. I apologize. Where is he? Where's Doru? There he is. Update token, image, and now he should look, there he is. And the same thing with Father Donovich. I need to update his prototype token with his image and go ahead and do that by making sure that I'm using my assets library and using my images, so he doesn't have the generic the generic image. Okay, and hit update token, and so now when I grab Father Donovich, I put him over here in the chapel. You've got a image of Father Donovich in the chapel, and not, you know, a generic token. There he is. So here he is in the church in here. Now I've made some maps on how I do all my lining and walling and all that kind of stuff. I didn't want to get into that. I just want to get into the populating the maps, putting in my notes in here. I usually like to keep my notes just on the outside of the walls like this. It just makes it a little easier, so it doesn't get too confusing with my players here. So I can just click on the office and see this over here on the side, and then give them any of the items here, or open up the items really quickly against, and also have my roll tables. When we get to the next map, the Bildrith, I've got the Burgermeister's Mansion, the church, the graveyard. Mad Mary's, the same thing with Mad Mary's place. I can go ahead and go to the scene, take Mad Mary's, grab it, just place it on there. We can make this more of a role-playing scene. And again, there's an item here. She's got the dowel that's in the house. There's Mad Mary as well. And you can go ahead and add some additional images as well. Sorry, they're moving something upstairs, so I do apologize. So the last thing that we're going to do, let's go to the last step. This is a really long video, so I do apologize. Let me just go ahead and do that here. Are you kidding me with all this? Can you hear that up there? All that pulling around. Last thing is we're going to do a GM review. And what we're going to be doing with a GM review is going through and checking out all these maps, checking out our journal entries, making sure our NPCs, our items are in there. If you're going to have your role tables like we do, make sure that they're properly in the right scenes. I like to operate always from my journal, but not from the journal entry. I like to have them on my map, so I can just click on my map, bring up the journal entry, read some of the text in here. If I have a specific image, so for instance, if I want to add an image here of Mad Mary herself, I can just go to Mad Mary and click on this, select image. You see this woman and she's crying and screaming. I can just hit show players. All my players now see this image of Mad Mary. So this allows you to really show images to your players in your journal entries. You get all your role tables, your important text. You know, the moaning sob floats through the still great sheets, coloring your thoughts with sadness. The sound flows from the small 2-story townhouse. And then go down the street, you say there's the townhouse. You have your player characters here. You know, you can bring Mad Mary onto the scene if you want to, and I should already have her. You should load her always up, load all your characters into the scene already. And if you don't want to show her, again, I should fix her token, which I will. It should be an image of Mary, not image of Mad Mary, not an image of a regular commoner. So again, this is going through and doing your GM cleanup. Click on all your tokens, make sure all the visions are correct, make sure that all the images are correct on your tokens, that they have the correct vision. There she is. She's invisible, but now I can make her visible. So she's on the street. She's crying. You're also going to have you're going to have your item from Mad Mary's, which is this. So you can just bring this onto the screen as well. Where did it go? Maybe it's hiding behind Mary. I thought I had it on the screen. Well, I don't know why it's not showing up on the screen. It should. Oh, you should be able to lay those right there on the screen anyway. Anyway, you have them in here. I think that might be a module that does that. But you have them in here, and here's the item. You give that item directly to the player, and you have Mad Mary here. You can have her crying on the street, and you have your notes here for what's going on, and ending that in. So you want to go through each one of these scenes, you know, clean up the lines. I'm a stickler for all this little stuff. There's no excuse to have this set up the way I have it. Let's up the darkness. There you go. And so now you've created this scene. Let's even fix it up just a little bit better. Configure. We're going to do this color tool here. We're going to make the sky to match the background. Save the image. There you go. It's just a better experience for your player. And then you have your notes up here in the corner. You can just click on them, read them. You want to show an image of Mad Mary, you can show the players. Go back to your text. Oh, they find the dowel. One of your players is going to get the dowel, and you can always go over to your item directory here and just give this configure positions and give it to a particular player as an owner. They want to take the dowel as loot and add it to their player character sheet. So let me go to the last thing in this entire long-winded video, which I hope you guys enjoyed so far, is about modules. So I'm a big module user. I love modules. I just did housekeeping. I probably have 50 modules. Modules come in 3 basic flavors, and what I just went through, this methodology that I like to put campaigns together through: journal entries. First of all, identifying the area, doing your journal entries, creating your items, your NPCs, then your items, your tables, create the scenes, begin to populate the scenes, and then finally doing your GM cleanup, clean up everything, make sure you got all your links, everything done. It doesn't take that long. I've spent 2 hours on this video, and I've done almost all of Barovia. Maps, everything. I gotta still do the walling, but I've got my journal entries and everything. And now once it's done, you can take a breath go do your GM cleanup easily, read through it, go back, read through the chapter, add some little text here and there. Don't load up your journal entries with too much text. Now, once this is all done, I've done this without any modules whatsoever. Let's talk about modules for a second. Modules come in 3 flavors. The first one is what I call environment enhancements. So stuff like Dice So Nice, FX Master does some fog effects and cloud effects, snow and rain. You have some community lighting by Blintz. There's Soundboard to do sound. All these environmental enhancements, you should go ahead and start adding these modules. And these modules will not interfere at all with gameplay. So it's a great way to learn how to install modules, how to turn them on and off, how to set certain settings in them, because all they're going to do is affect the aesthetics and the environment. They're not going to impact any of the mechanics, and the players don't need to learn anything. The next group of modules, the next tier of modules to start implementing, I would say, are player and DM aids. This is stuff like Dice Tray. It goes in the bottom of the corner and it has pictures of dice, and you can roll some dice formulas. This is the GM notes that are notes that you can attach to everything from journal entries to character sheets. This is some player aids in which you can put up a player tooltips, stuff like that. These are all aids which helps the player play the game, not for visual, but helps them with pushing buttons or organizing, stuff like Tidy Sheet, which organizes your character sheets. The next thing are mechanic enhancements, and mechanic enhancements are the most complicated of the 3 types of modules. You're not going to see these, they're under the hoods, and these are getting into macros. They actually impact rolling of the dice. They impact performance of the game to smooth out the game. For instance, you're casting a certain spell and it always needs a certain type of modifier. It's a macro in one of these, what I call mechanic enhancements. So you don't need any of these modules to run a Foundry game or even build a campaign like I've done with 0 modules at all, and just using Foundry RAW and getting familiar with it and the roll tables and how to link stuff together. But the modules definitely enhance the experience, from the environment to the players, to some aids for the Dungeon Master and the players, and lastly some mechanics, which we just added in our last campaign to improve some mechanics of the players. I really hope you enjoyed this very, very long video that we went through, and I'll just go through it one more time just briefly here at the end. Step 1 is identifying the area in which you're going to focus on. The area has locations, NPCs, loot, quest. Keep it as tight as you can. It's an area where your players are going to spend at least 1 or multiple sessions in. I chose the village of Barovia. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start with journal entries, and we're using those journal entries again. I'm going to show them really quickly here. We're using those journal entries as kind of for you as the player. This is kind of your Curse of Strahd book that you're designing. You've got your village as a parent directory, or your area as a parent directory. Your subdirectories here are the different locations. And then there's the entries in here that explain each of the locations. You're keeping these notes succinct with some links back to maybe D&D Beyond or the module that you're using, links to the NPC characters. Your journal is going to be your bread and butter of running your campaign. You don't need anything other than that journal, and attach them to the different maps. The next thing that we're going to be using here is the creating your NPCs. That's this icon here. As you notice when I first started, is I just copied and pasted from the book what kind of NPC is in their name, so that when I created the NPC and pulled them from the compendium, I just can copy the name in there really quickly, and then I can put them right back into the journal entry as a link to the character or the actor. The next step that we did was we started creating some items. There were some items located in the church. Some of them came right from the compendium. Some of them I created them myself, like the 2 different books. The next step is creating tables. We created some rule tables. 2 different types of tables. One table was actually to create creatures to populate an encounter, a random encounter. And then the other one was 3 tables of lore. If you're going to ask somebody at a bar, they can roll a table and you've got an answer to it, and real simple roll tables, which are awesome. Again, I linked those tables back into my journal notes so that in the tavern, when I bring up my journal notes in the tavern, we'll just take a quick look at that real quick in my journal notes for the tavern. When I get to the tavern scene, here we are in the tavern. Oh, where we are, tavern. I should have my journal notes. I don't know why it's not coming up. I'm having a little bit of problems with some speed here. There it is. There's my notes. It's right there in the map. And then I have my lore about Barovia. I can just go ahead and roll right from this, and my characters can see it here. I can just make this on my reveal to everyone, and they can just read right here, take notes right from here. So I have my roll tables just right in my sheets along with my characters, NPCs, and my items. The next thing that we had on our list to do when we're doing this in our program is creating the scenes, and we created a map. One of the things I did, and I didn't even plan to do it, but I just did it for you guys anyway, was creating a map for the players. And I really like doing this. I think my players like this as well. Is I have a map of the village, and what I did was, let me just clear this out. Is I created an entire separate journal just for my players with the village, and I put these in here. And so I have a token for my players to move around the village. And then I have these entries, which my players, these are for my players, only for my players. And it's all the locations that they're going to visit. They can keep their own player notes in each one of these locations when they visit each one of these locations. Real simple. And it's all done right in here. So there's a separate parent folder called Player Journal with a subfolder of the area with all just blank journal entries, and I've given my players permission. I added this in as just an added bonus, but that's the way that's the way I roll. Okay, so let's go to the next one. The last thing here was populating the scenes. We're going to drag in our characters, our NPCs. We're going to make them invisible. We talked about one particular scene that I thought was important to touch on, and I'll just go over that really quick one more time. And that was the village home scene, because this is going to be just a routine scene that'll pop up if they visit multiple homes, which is going to be completely populated by your occupants of the house encounter. And I put all the zombies and bats and everything on the side invisible. And depending on what they roll, I can just drag them in, and then we can have our encounter. So this is just a generic battle encounter map, and you could probably have quite a few of these, one on the road, one in the snow, one on the river, a village house. They're just generic battle encounter maps for your encounters, and there's one here in the village of Barovia. The next one here is, last but not least, is what we've been doing is our GM review, going through each one of these journal entries, the scenes, make sure all your lines, your walls are done, all your lighting is done, making sure your characters have their biography in there, and all that kind of stuff. Once you get this done and you're going through your GM review, this is when you reread the chapter. Just reread the chapter again, look at the location. Let me just do this here. So this is kind of how I go through my GM stuff here. So let's start off with the Blood and Vine Tavern. I've got my notes here. I've got my characters dragged into the scene. I have him. Here's Ismark. There's the bartender here. Oh, see, the bartender's name's not right. I got to fix his token. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the village of Barovia, and I'm going to go to the Blood and Tavern bar, and I'm just going to read through it again. Right? Is there anything? There's some stuff about Ismark that I should have in his biography. So I'm going to just copy this. I'm going to go back in here, and I have Ismark. Here he is. And there's the tavern. There's Ismark, and I'm just going to go into his biography, and I'm going to just copy and paste in some of the stuff in here. You know, he's typically, he invites the characters to join him. He's drinking by himself in the corner. He's type-lipped about the other Barovians. So, you know, you just want to review this stuff. Once you get your journal done, your maps done, your characters done, just go through, reread the chapter of some stuff in there that you want to have. Again, if you didn't want to put all this stuff in here, you can go ahead and do this role-playing Ismark. Just copy this link, Control-C, go back into here, and just say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to do Ismark info here, so I don't have to copy and paste it if I'm going to be having D&D Beyond up. Just put a link in here, and now I've got the Ismark link all squared away, and I can just always click on this link and bring up D&D Beyond and read about Ismark right here, role-playing him and role-playing the others. And that's one of the great things about these journal entries and these character sheets is you can put all this stuff in your journal entry and in your character sheet. So go through, read each one of these locations, read through it thoroughly, make sure to do any little updates that you want to do. I don't know, I've got that like that. Do any updates that you want to do, and make sure you got your journal note right there ready to go. You've got your role tables here, you got your characters and NPCs, and I haven't used any modules. We spent a little over 2 hours together, and I've got almost everything done for the village of Barovia, going through this step-by-step process. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. If you have any comments or thoughts, please leave them down below. Any tips that you have, which are great. Again, I think this methodology will get you really comfortable with using Foundry and get you in a rhythm and a process, regardless of what module you're going to want to use. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, this is Parm King, and may all your rolls be critical 20s.